All right, state your name.
Anthony Lawrence Washington Jr.
All right, Mr. Lawrence Washington, Anthony, we call it.
Tony is what I prefer, but nobody ever calls me that.
Okay, do you want to be called Tony for this interview, or you want to
Sure,
be called
Tony. How about Tony? Man?
Tony? It is, but I might
Yeah.
slip up because I know you as Anthony.
It's all right.
All right, Anthony. See,
See?
Tony, where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Born and raised?
March 30th, 1980, Charity Hospital.
Charity Hospital.
Same hospital as Lee Harvey Oswald and J. Edgar Hoover.
Okay. Y'all don't have a good reputation right there. All right, so let's start from the beginning.
Okay, what beginning do you want to start? You guys know like some of my story from other characters.
Let's go to your first memory. Your first memory that you can think of.
My first memory, my earliest memory is actually melting the Cox cable remote control on a heater.
How old were you? How old do you think you were when that happened?
I had to be maybe 7, 8-ish. And the reason why I remember is because I was terrified because my dad had this van, and it was like the Ninja Turtle van from the cartoon.
Yeah.
And it would make this sound, and you could hear this thing coming miles away. So it was like a shark coming for me. So I remember being terrified he was going to kill my ass for melting his remote.
And you said you were born in 80?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about 87.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and who's your mom and who's your father?
My father is Anthony Lawrence Washington Sr. My mother was Brenda Joyce Jackson, but Washington was her last name.
Were you raised by both parents?
Raised by both parents.
So you're from a two-parent household.
Two-parent household, yeah.
Was that rare growing up?
It was rare for my family. Lawrence and those guys, they had they never had a dad as far as I could remember. I know I had met their dad when I was younger, but I don't remember him.
Okay, and so what about siblings?
I have a half sister. Her nickname is Mother.
Her nickname is Mother. How old is she?
Her real name is Felicia. I don't know what her last name is.
How old is she?
I have no idea.
Were you raised with her?
No, I only met her once when she was 7 years old.
And how old were you?
I was 16, 17, around that age.
Do you have any relationship with her right now?
I don't know her from Adam. She could be standing next to me on a street corner. I wouldn't know her.
Do you want a relationship with her?
I would love to meet her one day and talk to her and compare notes on where our lives have went. See, what she might have in common with me, what she might not. I don't know.
Y'all share a father?
We share a father.
Okay. All right. So tell me about elementary. Let's start there.
Elementary school was like, a series of unfortunate events.
Did you go to the same one elementary or did you go to multiple?
I went to multiple.
How many elementaries?
I want to say maybe 4 or 5.
Elementaries?
Yeah.
Why?
We moved a lot.
Why do you think you moved a lot?
There were all kinds of conflicts. There were conflicts between my mother and my father's parents.
Okay.
Not his parents with her parents, but her parents with him.
Her parents with him.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, Dad had the story about how my dad met my mom is a very complicated tale. I'll tell it.
Okay.
I'll tell it. Basically, what happened was many years ago, Dad was a thief. He used to run with a bunch of other boys, and they would train these dogs to help them steal. And they actually was able to teach the dogs to how to jump fences. And Dad used to always joke that he knew for a fact that it was a lie that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because he taught an old dog new tricks. One particular time they broke into this farm in Port Arthur, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
The particulars of this farm belonged to my grandfather. He bought it after World War II. He came back and he took his savings and he used that to buy that farm. When he bought that farm, though,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't know that it had oil on it, and nobody else did either. And he used the oil revenue to buy a bunch of other houses.
Okay.
So they break into Grandpa's farm and they steal a bunch of horses off the farm. But one of the horses they steal was the type of horse was called a Golden Palomino. And this was not just any horse, it was Grandpa's favorite horse. This was his favorite prize horse. And they stole it. And they were running around on these horses in the Ninth Ward, and they get picked up by none other than NOPD. NOPD took them and, confiscated the horses, and the other boys were like, well, that's that. It's gone. But Dad was like, no, I got a better idea. And he said, what we'll do is we'll go down to the police stables and we'll break into the police stables and steal the horses back. And everybody said, well, that's crazy because you can't rob from the police. And Dad said, yeah, you could rob from the police because they won't expect you to steal from them. So there they were breaking into the police stables, and sure enough, they actually broke into the stables, got the horses, and they were running through the French Quarter with the horses. They get all the way to the Riverwalk, and Dad and his best friend, I forget the guy's name, they are like, well, we got to swim these horses across the river. The other boys was like, nah, there's no way, you can't swim across the Mississippi with no horse. And Dad was like on TV, he saw Bonanza and he saw them swim horses across rivers all the time. He said the horse knows how to do it. You just got to jump him. So he jumped his horse into the water and his best friend followed him, and they made it across and got away. The other boys got captured. This is actually in the Times-Picayune. I actually found this.
You found out?
I didn't believe a lot of Dad's stories. Dad used to tell a lot of fantastics, but this was actually true. It's in the Times-Picayune that they stole.
So he met his mom, your mom that way?
No.
Okay.
Years later, well, let's go back to the horse theft. Okay, so they get across the river and they get to the Ninth Ward. And my Uncle Rios, who was also a World War II vet, he is saying, look, guys, you're going to get caught. This is all over the news. This is big. Mm-hmm. You're going to get caught. And what he told Dad was, he said, look, if you hide from this, and you can hide from this for years probably before they catch you, it'll be okay. But when they catch you, they're not going to send you to, kitty popper, juvie. They're going to send you to, grown man prison.
Right.
So what he said was, look, I'll keep the horse. I'll keep the horse in my backyard. You take and turn yourself in, do the little year in juvie that they're going to give you, and then you're scot-free. Because when you get out, you'll be 18, and this won't even be on your record. So that's what he did. And he came back out. Uncle Rios was true to his word. He kept that horse. And Dad had that horse. And then he got his first job at WDSU. He was working at the news station.
Okay.
He was a cameraman. And he met my mom at a club at a dance contest. This was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And he had won a dance contest. And Mom's favorite movie of all time was what's with John Travolta, you know?
Dirty Dancing?
It's with John Travolta. He's got his like shirt like flared out.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
I don't know the name of it. I can't think of the name of it. But she loved that movie. And if you see this picture, there's actually a picture with Auntie Jamirio, my mom, and Dad with that outfit that he wore for that contest. And he looks like the black John Travolta. So that's how they met. Eventually, one thing led to another. They got serious, and now Mom's pregnant, and they're talking about getting married and this kind of thing. And so now it's time to meet the parents. Well, the parents come over to the house, and they're all talking and everything. And Grandpa was kind of like a quiet guy. He was a very quiet, subtle kind of cat.
Mm-hmm.
And but he hears something. He hears something. And he thinks it's something that he shouldn't hear in the night ward.
Mm-hmm.
So he listens, and he hears it again, and he goes to the back of the house. And to the back of the house, he sees a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts going, "Wow, it's Golden Palomino." And he's stroking the horse and everything. And then Dad, I think, comes back there and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I got a Golden Palomino." And then Grandpa looks at the horse's ass, and there's his mark on the horse. So needless to say, things didn't go well from there. He found out that Dad was the prize horse thief.
That's a good story. So that made y'all move from that area to another area?
There were so many incidents. I don't know all of the particulars. At a certain point, my understanding is that Mom was seeing Dad when she was not quite fully divorced from her.
So she was married before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To another guy. He was a Vietnam vet.
Mm-hmm.
He was having some kind of problem. I don't know what. Some kind of mental lapse or something. She ended up getting divorced from him. And there was, I believe that there was a question as to my parentage. So there was the belief by Mom's family that I was not Dad's son.
Is that what they wanted to believe?
It could be that they wanted to believe that. It could be that they had reason to believe that.
Y'all, you look like your dad. So.
They had that in their head.
Mm-hmm.
They made things difficult. They ended up burning down the house that we were in at one point, and burned up.
Did anybody go to jail for that?
No one went to jail. Not to my knowledge. They destroyed like all of my baby pictures and photos from that.
My grandparents did it?
That whole era in my childhood is gone.
Did you ever have a relationship with them?
I had met them on occasion. I met my grandmother. I did not like her particularly.
Mm-hmm.
I met Grandpa quite a few times. I liked him, and he liked me. We liked each other. He told me a craziest story I ever heard.
Well, let's go back to elementary.
Yeah.
So, what was your first elementary that you remember?
The one I have the most solid memories of is Rudolph DeTeach, I think it was, or something.
Where
Rudolph,
was that located?
It's in Gertown.
Okay.
It's in Gertown. That's where I met Kiki or Ken. I met him. Actually, he was getting jumped by three other dudes, and I jumped in and helped him in a fight.
Sounds like Gert Town. All right, so your elementary was all on the East Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what grade was that?
All the way. I didn't go to the West Bank until.
No, I mean the fight that you described.
Oh, sixth, seventh grade.
Okay. And then middle school.
Middle school, that's when I went across the river to Helen Cox.
Okay.
Yeah.
So elementary was on the East Bank, and then you moved on the West Bank for middle school. And you went to Helen Cox. Okay. Any memories from Helen Cox?
I have lots of memories from Helen Cox. I actually dated a white girl in Helen Cox.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I know that's gonna be a shock to everybody.
Yeah, that is.
Her name was V, and Eric.
So is this your first girlfriend?
No.
Well, let's go back to your first girlfriend.
First girlfriend.
Is this elementary?
Yeah, yeah. First girlfriend was back when I actually lived on Cleveland Avenue. I had a lot of memories from Cleveland Avenue.
Is this your first crush? Or your first girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Do you remember your first crush before you?
Yes.
What girl?
Joni Johnson.
Joni Johnson.
Yeah.
How did you meet Joni? Was she in school?
She was in school. She was in school.
Elementary?
Mm-hmm.
Was she one of the popular girls? Or?
She was popular. She was red. You know, she was red, and she was. You know, she had everything. She had the package. Everybody. And
This
she
is
knew everybody. Everybody wanted it.
This is elementary, sir.
I'm telling you.
I'm sure nobody has a package.
She had the baggage. To tell you that right now, she had the baggage.
For your little eyes back then.
Back then, yeah, she was the package.
Okay. Did you talk to her?
Yeah. I even wrote her a love letter, which I met her years later. Crazy thing, she remembered that thing almost word for word.
All right, tell us about this love letter.
I didn't remember what I wrote. She remembered what I wrote.
So how did you decide to write her a love letter?
I just did it.
So you just saw her one day and you went home and started writing? Or
No, I wrote it in class.
Wrote it in class and passed it to her?
Yep.
Okay, and what was the reaction?
She kind of laughed, which was not good. That was not a good reaction, but yeah, she laughed at me.
Did it hurt your self-esteem, or did you?
I rolled with it.
You rolled with it?
I rolled with it. I had took so many embarrassing moments by that point in life. I had.
This is elementary. How did you take so many by then?
Oh man, I used to catch it north, south, east, and west. I had a voice that was everybody thought was weird. They all, oh, your voice is weird. Your voice is weird. A weird voice. Even back then, everybody thought I was from somewhere else, and I used to start to lean into it. Yeah, I'm from somewhere else. I used to start, everybody just accused me of being from somewhere else so much. I just, yeah.
So, okay, let's move forward to your middle school. How did you start talking to this girl?
V came on to me. That was the V was very forward, and we were boyfriend and girlfriend for all of a month. And I remember Eric made a joke about it, and he said, "Oh, you got a girlfriend named V? I hope it doesn't stand for venereal disease."
Y'all were advanced little kids, weren't y'all?
Very much so. Very much so.
So that lasted a month?
Although, I got my most experience with girls messing with you and Lawrence.
We will continue. We will continue. So wait, I thought you went to Liberty's.
No,
So you never went to Liberty's?
never went to Liberty.
Okay.
I went to Rudolph Daniel Elementary. That's what it was called.
Okay.
Daniel Elementary.
Middle school, you went to Helen Cox.
Helen Cox. Then it
you
was
were
Gregory.
But then you moved over.
Yeah, we moved somewhere and
To-
I ended up going to Gregory.
Okay. By time.
And
so by
guess
time
who was
you-
at Gregory with me?
Who?
Anthony, the guy who played the Black Captain America.
Okay.
I got into a fight with the Black Captain America back in those times.
Why were you getting in fights?
Me and Ken got into a lot of fights. Boy, we got into a lot of fights. At that time, Ken was fighting his boy, so he hit me, and me and him got into it and ended up rolling down a hill.
Okay.
So I can say I have fought Captain America.
Okay, so all right, so let's move forward, and then we're gonna back up a little bit. But okay, so we're at 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. You went to Gregory, you said?
No, 9th grade was West Jeff.
Oh, West Jeff.
Gregory
I forgot
was
West
like-
Jeff started at 9th.
7th, I think.
Okay.
7th, 8th. 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe. I don't know.
When did you go to Helen Cox?
Helen Cox, I must have been in 5th grade or something like that.
Helen Cox was in middle school.
Oh,
Okay.
it's all a blur.
All right, so
Somewhere in there.
then y'all moved to Tres Vitas. Tres Vitas?
No, I never lived in Tres Vitas. Lawrence and them lived in Tres Vitas.
No,
I used
no.
to just go over there.
Tres Vitas is where you and David and y'all live.
No.
What was the name of them apartments?
That was
Tres Vitas.
No, it wasn't. Tres Vitas is actually right across from West Jeff. Because Tres Vitas.
No. Right across from. That's
Because
Scar-
Tres Vitas is
that's
right
Scar-
behind that government building.
that's Scarsdale.
Scottsdale?
Scottsdale.
Okay, well maybe it was Tres Vitas.
Yeah, that's Scottsdale.
Okay, well
Yeah.
maybe I
That's
got
Tres
my
Vitas
jacket
because
wrong.
I
Okay.
lived over there in Trinidad Square.
Yeah,
Then
Trinidad
you had
Square.
You had the Arbor, I believe.
Because y'all lived across the little river.
Well,
There was a little bridge.
That was a little later. We moved over there, but
Yeah.
first we lived in Trinidad Square.
Y'all had the hookup.
So y'all moved a lot.
a lot.
Was any of it financial?
Could have been.
You didn't really dig into
I
it.
didn't dig into it. I didn't really know about the finance problems or issues that mom had with dad until the later years.
Later years. Okay.
Yeah, when I got to be an adult and started to try to help her with different things, that's when I started to find out about financial issues with him.
So you moved to Tres Vitas, which is right around the corner from David's.
Yeah.
And that's when you met. Well, I was introduced to you by Lawrence.
Yes.
Okay. And I believe me and Vincent was with him.
No.
Well, how did you
I met Vincent completely
separate from
from y'all.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know y'all knew Vincent
How did
until
you meet him?
Vincent was like, "Hey, it's Sully and Lawrence." And then I'm like, "You know them?"
How did you meet Vincent?
Come to find out, meeting all y'all, it was like the X-Men cartoon where all these mutants are on the planet and they're interacting in different ways and they don't know it.
Right.
That's the way it was meeting all y'all. I met Vincent at his school, his Waterloo school.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that. Back in the days.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all meet each other. And what was your opinion of? Let's go through first. Lawrence. We'll start there.
Lawrence, with Eric, with Louise, all of them, I always felt like I was just a guest star in their reality show.
Okay. How often did y'all interact? Did you interact with that side of the family?
Not often. Dad was pretty much in. If the whole family is the solar system, Dad was Pluto.
Okay.
And they're and Lawrence, Louise, all of them are like Jupiter, with all of these moons.
Mm-hmm.
And then Auntie is maybe Mars.
So y'all really didn't have any relationship?
Mm-mm.
Just would hang out every blue moon?
They came to live with me for a year, and that was a culture shock.
For you or them?
I don't know. Well, I think for both,
okay.
to a degree.
Well, for you, I could see because you're, for all sense of person,
I had
only child.
Yeah, I was the only child, and I had always wanted brothers and sisters and the like, and never had any.
So when they came,
it was like, oh, hey,
I got brothers and sisters.
Hey.
Yeah.
It was great. It was like, and then it was like 6 months in, I was like, oh Lord, this sucks. Yeah, I had to learn about all those things about sharing the TV and sharing the game, and couldn't watch shows at certain times. It was a culture shock.
Because y'all were raised Jehovah's Witness.
They were raised Jehovah's Witness. I was not.
Your dad was Jehovah's Witness, right?
No, it was not.
Your mom?
No.
Oh, so you wasn't raised Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, y'all were Catholic.
Mm-mm.
What were y'all religion?
Non-denominational.
Y'all were non-denomination.
Mm-hmm.
I remember y'all had a white Jesus picture in your house.
We had a white Jesus. Jesus stayed white in that house. Until I was like 17, that's when Jesus became black.
Yeah.
That's when Dad hung the black Jesus.
I remember the black one.
He made a whole big thing about the black Jesus. It was a whole thing.
Remember when y'all finally? Okay.
Yeah, it was the adventure. That was the adventure there.
Okay, so when they came around, did y'all take on any of their ways in terms of religious?
No.
Because they had strict things that they had to abide by, right?
They had strict things that they abided by. They had their things. We didn't interfere with theirs.
Okay.
We never interfered with their thing. We didn't stop them from doing anything that they were doing.
Right.
We didn't interact with anything that they were doing.
So how was your relationship with them at this point?
I was learning them.
Okay.
This was the longest interaction I'd ever had with them up until this point in my life.
Okay.
And this is when I was learning who they were.
And all of this is, where were y'all living when this happened?
We were actually living on Cleveland Avenue back then. And it was an experience. It was an experience.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Okay. And then you met, let's say you met me. So what was your interaction with me, thoughts and stuff at that time?
I just thought you were Lawrence's sidekick. Okay. I thought he was Batman, you were Robin, or he was Captain Kirk and you were Mr. Spock. Okay. It's closer to more like Captain Kirk and Spock, because you seemed like you were the rational thinker, kind of Mr. Cool, but you would do stuff, but you would be like, kind of cool with it, You're like, or you would be like the voice of reason to a lot of Lawrence's crazier ideas. You'd be like, oh, maybe do we really want to do that, Lawrence? Maybe we ought to do this instead, or something like that.
What about religiously?
Well, for you guys,
because that was that your first interaction with Muslims?
Definitely. Okay. We had Muslims in the family, but they didn't really talk about their beliefs much, so I knew. Right. I knew nothing about it. Talking to you guys, and I used to love talking to your dad. Story time with your dad was always the event. That was the event. I used to go, I don't know how you guys can't stop this guy from talking. Why don't y'all always want this guy to tell a story?
Yeah, he does have some stories.
Oh man, I used to live for them. I used to go to that house and live for those stories. And next thing you know, I was calling y'all on me, didn't know why. At one point I was like, why did y'all name him after, why did you name your dad after the monkey? I thought y'all named him after the monkey in Aladdin. You know,
yeah.
I had no clue, you know.
Aladdin was big at the time too, so
I had no clue. I'm like, oh, why did they name their dad after the monkey? Who does that?
yeah, and we had some different ways of living too, but
There was always a pot on the stove. That's what I used to love. There was always something cooking in that house. No matter what time of day, something was cooking. Yeah.
okay. Then you met okay, and Vincent. What was your thoughts on him when you first met him?
Vincent and me have a complicated relationship that intertwines through my dad. And I think at some points I've been unfair to Vincent because I've given him a bad rap because of some of the things that Dad would do.
Okay. Because if I would say, just observing you guys, that he was actually at one point your closest. The closest you got to having a brother. Like your dad actually took him on too.
I know you guys felt that way. Y'all always felt that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. Not by your emotions, but just the dynamic. You don't always like your siblings, but your dad took him on as if he was a sibling too, and you actually had to share your dad. You know, and that's what happens when you have siblings and stuff. You're sharing the parents as well, and you actually came to a point where you were actually sharing your parents with him.
It was a lot of tension about that, and I really didn't come to terms with it until years later.
Yeah, and then I know y'all competed with Command and Conquer during that time because your dad was big. Your dad was big.
Dad was a Command and Conquer nut. He had everybody playing it.
Yeah, I was
yeah, he roped you, and he roped you, Lawrence. The only one he didn't rope in was Eric.
Yeah, we all.
Eric and Louise was the only ones he didn't rope in, and Emma.
We all were on Command and Conquer at that point.
Oh, everybody was. But Dad was the kind of guy. If he started to say something, everybody started saying it.
He was
a trendsetter.
Yes,
he was a trendsetter.
Yeah.
It only took him to say something a couple of times around a few key people, and then I would notice that the further out in my circle that it would spread. Sap was the big one.
Yeah.
Dumb sap. That started to spread. Then Vincent started saying it. Then Lawrence started saying. You started saying it. And pretty soon, people at Wendy's where we were working at were saying it.
I think another thing I noticed with you and Vincent, y'all liked a lot of the same things. Like y'all love for Star Trek and the details of models and stuff like that.
We did.
Yeah, both of you were into that.
We roped you in for a little bit. We actually roped you in for a little bit.
Y'all did, but I got away from you. My dad was a Trekkie. You know, at some points when we only had one TV, you had no choice but to watch. Star Trek, it was the Next Generation.
That's what it was back then. Back then it was that.
We didn't have a choice.
That's all there was at the time.
Yep. Yeah. But that and Star Wars. We were big on Star Wars too. But so what about politics? How did you start? Where did your love for politics come from?
Mom used to take me to the library every weekend religiously.
Okay, why is that? What did she do?
Mom was an English teacher.
Oh, okay. She was an English teacher.
And that was her her thing. She used to always say, look, don't ever sound like these people.
Yeah.
You can live amongst them, but don't sound like them. She never wanted me to. She always wanted me to be from New Orleans, but people would never know it. That's the way she wanted it.
So you used to go to the library.
Yeah, we went to the library every weekend, and it started off with me wanting to learn about nuclear weapons.
Okay, why was that?
I had saw, I don't know if it was a James Bond movie or something, and I was trying to understand what the big deal was. And then I just got obsessed, and I started finding out all these facts I found out the Soviet Union had more nuclear weapons than the United States did, and what that got me into wondering was why and this and that, and I started learning about Nixon and Reagan and Kennedy and Eisenhower, and I just started it from there. The ball started rolling there, and it never stopped.
Okay. And why didn't you go that path? Which
go ahead.
We can back up. I think I jumped the gun.
Okay.
But let's hear why didn't you go that path?
In the politics?
Yeah, we had enough for it.
Two reasons. One was I was married to Tasha.
Okay, let's stop there then. Let's back up because I jumped, and so I wanted you to get there. Okay, here we go. Let's go to Tasha. Let's back up.
Yeah.
How did you meet Tasha?
Funny enough, I don't think that there was ever a way that I could not meet Tasha. I think it was destined.
Okay,
destiny.
tell me how.
Tasha was friends with Tasha's mom was friends with your mom, and she was also friends with my aunt.
Okay.
Your mom was friends with my aunt, and actually there was this other lady, I can't think of her name, but y'all knew her.
Okay.
And she had a husband and a lot of kids too. And your mom used to hang out with her, and your dad used to hang with her, but they weren't Muslims.
I don't recall who, but okay.
But they knew y'all.
Okay.
And they also knew Tasha and her mom and all of them. And one day, because I remember back when Auntie Jamira had an African shop, me and Tasha happened to be in that shop, and that lady showed up at the shop. And she was like, "Oh, hey, Tasha," and she's like, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Miss whatever," and she's like, I was like, "You know her?" She's like, "Yeah." It's like, "I've known her for years." So we all knew. She knew all the people I knew. She knew you. She knew Lawrence. She knew Eric. She knew Emma.
It's crazy how we met them.
Yeah, she knew all of y'all. She knew like everybody in my circle before she met me.
Okay. So officially, how did you meet Tasha?
I met Tasha through y'all. It was through what y'all call the pod continuum.
What about we put continuum on there?
I think y'all were trying to play with the board. Y'all were trying to say like y'all were assimilating girls. I think that's what the
okay, we won't go too much.
I think that's what the gimmick was.
So Tasha, which was a friend of Christina,
right?
Because we all met all of them through Christina, who lived across from me. Mm-hmm. So we all became good friends, and Christina, I think it was her birthday party, and she invited a bunch of people, and we told you, hey, you should come.
Yeah.
Okay, you could take over from there. So you come to the party.
Well, actually, they showed up at the house before that.
What house? Yours?
Mine's, because I had talked to them on the phone.
Okay.
And apparently they wanted y'all to introduce me because they had heard me talk to them on the phone.
Right, but we were late.
You were late.
Because of your aunt. Mm-hmm. So, because she wanted us to do stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they show up to your house.
They showed up to my house. So it was DeWanda, the fat one, whoever that was.
We don't call people fat.
I can't remember her name.
Lorena.
Lorena, Tasha, and maybe Christina.
Okay.
And And they were like, "You're Anthony." I'm like, "I'm Anthony." And Tasha kind of gave me some kind of look. I don't know how to describe the look.
Okay.
It was some kind of look.
Okay.
And then they all walked off back to wherever they were going. And then that's when y'all showed up.
Okay. So then you come.
I came to the party,
event.
but I didn't find out till much later that Lawrence wanted me at the party because William was at the party.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Okay.
So you go to the party.
I was supposed to be muscle for William. I didn't know.
You go to this party, and there's Tasha. Because all I remember is you disappeared.
Yeah, we did.
So we're at the party. What happens?
Me and her.
You walk up to her, or she walked to you? How did?
I don't remember which. I'm pretty sure I started the conversation more than likely based on our personalities. And then we started walking and talking. And then we ended up on that bench looking at the water.
We call it the love bench.
And the rest is history. That's what it all started. It just rolled from there.
Okay. I found out significant information later that you exposed that I don't know if you want to expose that on camera.
What?
But she was your first.
Yes.
Okay. And first time y'all interacted, she got pregnant.
Very first time. Very first time.
Okay.
There was so much of that stuff. It was in her, over her, everywhere. It was the very first time I had ever done anything. And it was, the only way to describe it was basically an eruption. That's the only thing that can be said, because there must have been 17 years of baggage. Just all came out that one moment, and then there's Anthony.
So at this time, you were inexperienced.
Very.
So you didn't know too much of, in the way of protection, or did y'all have those type of sit downs with your parents?
We had that conversation after that happened.
So it wasn't because of religious reasons y'all kind of shied away from talking about sex with you?
Dad was just a very, over there, I'm over there individual, especially about that kind of thing.
Okay.
He didn't talk about that stuff, which was weird, because the first movie he ever took me to was The Color Purple.
And what about your mom?
Mom definitely did talk about it. Oh no. Mom was just a, religious, holy roller. She just.
So no one spoke of it. So once you got into that situation,
there it was.
Yeah. So, how long after did you find out she was pregnant?
That's a very interesting story. We broke up.
Y'all broke up?
Not long after that event.
Why?
I don't remember why.
Okay.
I was moping. Like I was
sad.
I was miserable.
Were you listening to sad music? That's what I used to do.
No, I was miserable without Tasha. I was miserable. She was my best friend. I was miserable without her. I called her back up and I came begging.
We all have done it. We all have done it.
I was miserable without her. This is the only way to describe it. I was miserable.
I mean, I can imagine this is your first experience, and at that level of a connection. That's what I tell people all the time, like, that haven't experienced that, like, you really don't know a connection yet. Because they're like, oh, why this person acting crazy over this person or whatever. Like, I have a friend that's a 40-year-old virgin. And she says these type of things, and I tell her, you don't know. But anyway, So y'all broke up for how long?
Couple of months, maybe a month, maybe it's a month, maybe a month and a half.
Well, she should have known in a couple of months, right?
We got back together after I did a lot of begging.
A bunch of phone calls, or how did you do it? Flowers, or just phone calls?
I think it was phone calls. I think it was talking on the phone, I want to say. And then we met. We met at her house.
Okay.
We were shooting hooky
from school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we made love again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she told me she was.
So she knew.
She knew she was.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know what to do about it. Neither one of us knew.
When the words came out of her mouth, how did you feel?
I didn't know what to do.
Well, your heart started racing.
I was definitely scared.
Okay.
I can definitely remember being scared.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do. It was like, wow, it's like waking up and somebody telling you you're president now. Like, what? What?
Right. Right.
This is all me.
Yes, this is and she's looking at you like, what are we gonna do?
Right.
So she's looking for you to be confident and
figure something out. Yeah.
So she's looking at you.
And
like,
I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. So I believe what I came up with is I broke the news to Dad.
Oh, that's what you came up with?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told Dad.
So he was the first person you told?
I told him, and he told Mom.
Did she tell anybody at this time?
No.
Okay.
She still had not told her side yet.
So you told your dad alone, not with her.
Not with her, but she was there when Mom found out.
Did you tell her you were telling your dad?
I don't think I did.
Okay,
I think I just did it. Yeah.
Okay.
She was there with Mom and me and Dad talking about it.
Okay, so when you told your dad, what happened? Were you in tears at this time?
No, I wasn't in tears. As reactions go, there could have been worse ones. At least I had heard of people having worse ones.
So when you told him, what happened?
He was kind of calm about it. Which was, and he told me that my grandpa, well, we don't call him grandpa, Luke. He said that Luke had his first kid at 17.
Okay.
And he said that he had met Luke's oldest daughter, and he had her when he was 17.
Okay.
And so he was kind of cool. Mom was panicking.
So then, was that the same day y'all told your mom?
I don't know that we told her the same